Okay. So let me do a few with you so you know what you need to show on this number 6. So start off with this. And remember, whatever's on the inside, you're just going to write down, right? And then you're going to write it down this many times. So that's why we have 1, 2 of them. And this will be our total. So we have 2 x's. And then you can see we have 6 positive. 2x plus 6. Okay? And that's the process you want to do. Over here, you could also rewrite it just to show that 2 times x does give you 2x, and that 2 times 3 does give you 6. Okay. And it'll be pretty easy, of course, on these. You might be able to do this in your head, no problem, but we're going to work up to down the page with fractions and then the backs with negatives. And remember, your goal is to get 100% of these correct. This is not new. We're not trying to somewhat kind of get most of them almost always correct. We're trying to go for 100%. That's what this will give us. Give us some precision, and we're not going to worry about ever doing these wrong again. Okay? So I think we did something like this already. We had 3x. Right, for number 5, we have 3 x's and 2 positives, right? And we have 2 of these total, so we have to have 2 sets of them, right? So that's where this comes from, right? And all together, we have 6x and plus 4. Okay? And that should be the same as if we multiply it. 2 times 3x does give us 6x, and 2 times 2 does give us 4. Okay? Here's one model with the 1/2 with a fraction. It shows it a little bit different, but it's kind of the same thing. That if the whole x has 4 x's total, right, and 2 positives, we want to know only what half of the x is. And that's where we can see if we take half of it, we have 2 x's and 1 positive. Okay. Hence, half of 4 does equal 2x. Half of 2 does equal 1. So they should be equal in the pictures and equal in the algebra when we're multiplying. Should be getting the same answers both ways. So if we're patient and we show this for every single problem, you would be hopefully willing to bet $1 million that you would get 100% on these. Okay? So that's the idea, is that you want to be so sure that everything is absolutely right that you're willing to bet that kind of money. So we're not going to get down to here and say, oh, wait a minute, I'm not sure about this one. This one's different. And we'll still be just as confident. Break it up into fourths. And we can divvy up the 8 x's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And since we want to know 3 of these, 1, 2, 3, I know for sure, for certainty, that these 3 out of 4 of 8x will give me 6 x's. Okay. Now, if we want to prove that and show that, we can do this. We can multiply the top and then divide by the bottom. So we got 3 times 8, which is 24, and then divided by 4. You can see 24 divided by 4 does equal 6. Okay. So that's the process you want to use. Let's look at a few on the back. The fact that have negatives just means at the very last step, we're going to switch some signs. Nothing more, just like we did before. Okay? All right, so you can see here we started off with 2x and -1, but instead we just switch these signs. Okay, so this is kind of what we're going to do. Let's see here. We can do it a couple ways. We have an x and 2 positives, right? That's what we have here. And we have 5 of them total. So I'm going to have 4 more of these, write them out. 3, 4, 5. So all together we have, of course, 5 x's. And looks like 10 positives. But I still have to take the opposite. That means flip everything over. If we had the tiles, this is where we'd be flipping them over from like green to red and red to green. So here we're going to just flip them over. So if I have a positive x, I'm going to flip it over, get a negative 5x. If I have a positive 10, I'm going to flip all 10 over and get a negative 10. So at the last step, all you're doing is just changing the sign, or finding the opposite is really what it's called. Okay? Which is identical to just distributing -5 times x is -5x, and -5 times 2 is -10. Okay? All right. So once we get to the back here, go ahead, and if you feel good about just doing it without the picture, that's fine with me. But for sure on the front, please show that you're doing the picture on every single problem. The back will be optional. However, we're going to check to make sure they're being accurate. And if we see that they're not accurate with the algebra only, we'll have you go back and do the picture, because we care about accuracy, not speed. I don't care if you finish first and you have 5 of them wrong. We want you to slow down and do them right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to work, and we'll be walking around to help you guys out.